Hello, hello. It's the 369, baby. Let's go.
Oh,
What was it?
69ing 3 times.
Damn, she
Is that
fine.
how it works? 369.
I'm Christian Humes. This is the Unranked podcast, and
What a
with me,
way
of
to
course.
start. What a way to start. It's very after dark energy. Of course, we are recording this much later. We're actually
Yes.
we're recording this closer to where we usually end things. So this is an after dark podcast. So we're talking about all the nasty the
That
nasties.
that sultry voice was Thomas Caswell.
Oh, hello.
If
What's
we're
up,
doing if this
everyone?
is Unranked After Dark, it's great because this would be the episode to do that, Tom, because this would be the April 1st episode. Because it's
Isn't
the
that
March 31st is the day it
sure?
would normally
Yeah.
come out. So, and
April Fool's Eve, as we
exactly.
call it.
I mean, if you're gonna do it,
National holiday.
that's what you do.
Mm-hmm. That's what you do on April Fool.
Um, Tom and I were just talking. I was like, I'll save it for the show. So this was oftentimes like sometimes we hit these periods where it's hard for us to schedule because all of us have something going on instead of just one of us. So
Yeah.
right now, with Alex being very busy for work, a lot of like movies and games and things coming out for Tom, and Dan just still has a very difficult schedule, like for the three of us, then like
Tough.
today, whenever something like this happens, we always make a joke like, "Oh, Dan, it might just be you," or "Tom might be a solo show."
I can't
This
believe we've
never happened.
gone. I cannot believe that we've gone as long as we have
Yeah.
without it resulting to that, which is why it was like we can't let it happen.
Oh, right. And I would totally, but that's
Yeah.
always the joke. So I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. Like if, and then last minute, Tom's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be back. Like if you don't,
Later than
if you want
usual.
me to hop in," I'm like, "Yeah, probably," because I was about to just come on here and monologue for like an hour and a half.
I'm glad. I'm glad that we were able to do it because there's like stuff to talk about.
There is.
We finally seen what the fuck Tears of the Kingdom is. Still don't have the full picture, but at least a bit more of the picture. And E3 is no more, so that'll be a fun little chat as well. So yeah, good. It's gonna be a good app. This is gonna be one of the good ones.
It would be one of the better ones. I'm just Tom. I'm just double
Mm,
checking that it's 369 and not 368.
it is. It is.
Okay.
368 was last week. Yep.
I opened the show notes.
Don't worry
tab
though. It's
that I
another
have in my.
garbage Pokemon though.
Well, I have some notes. Well, we'll talk about the but I have some notes here for Tchia because I've been taking notes and writing down every game I'm
Sure.
playing this year to like
Sure.
actually keep count of how many games I played and what I thought. And I have last week's show notes, but I never updated the podcast number on it, so I was like, "Fuck." So Pokemon 368, Tom.
369.
369. Who's that Pokemon?
It's Relicanth, just an absolute garbage heap. And it looks like it was fished out of the trash.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a rotten fish that's been fished out of the trash. It's water rock, which is an interesting typing. But this is, man, scraping the literal bottom of the barrel, I feel.
Well, you know the one thing that I like about it, Tom?
Go ahead.
The Animal Crossing, the Relicanth, because this is based on the Relicanth, which is that like pseudo prehistoric fish that I think has actually like popped up more recently or something like that. Could be wrong. Might be speaking of a different one, but
no, you are.
It's one of the fossils. It's one of the fossils. Like it's part of the museum that they have in Animal Crossing.
Oh, I got you.
Or it's like one of the fish, and they're like, "Oh, we thought this was." But either way, it's cool for that reason and that reason alone. Otherwise, I mean that fish was one of the ones that you would just get like all the time by accident, like when you're trying to get something else.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So that's it's not like for that reason. Some people might hate it.
Yeah, it's just visually just very uninspired. I mean, it's what it's based on is cool because I'm reading here the fish that you're talking about, the Relicanth, that it's based on is actually very interesting. It was thought to have gone extinct 66 million years ago, and then they were rediscovered in 1938. They're considered living fossils because they appear virtually unchanged from their prehistoric relatives. And that is why A, it's a rock type, and B, also it looks the way it does. It's meant to look like it's fossilized. So
Yeah.
I get the inspiration for it, but it doesn't. So that,
I
that
mean,
becomes a
water
little more
rock's at least an
interesting.
interesting typing.
Yes.
You end up
Yes.
with a high defensibility because water and rock have so many opposite advantages, disadvantages that there's not too many typings that actually would have advantage over this Pokemon. So that's good.
Interesting. The most interesting fact here is that Relicanth is one of the only 2 Pokemon in the Pokedex, the Hoenn Dex, to be left out of the Hoenn Pokerap. The other being Zigzagoon.
Because they
Don't
just
know
couldn't.
why that is.
They just couldn't get it in there.
They just couldn't get it in there. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. This Pokerap also features Celebi and Mew, both of whom were missing from their generation's respective Pokeraps. And I guess they took they were like, Zigzagoon and Relicanth, get them out of here. Let's get two A-star S tier Pokemon in here with. We got to jazz it up a little bit. We got to zhuzh it up.
Yeah.
Because this generation is lacking so much zhuzh. Yeah. There you go.
I'm on board. All right, Tom.
Yes.
That's enough fucking Pokemon.
It is enough. It is
actually
enough.
Oddly enough, I was on my 3DS the other day because they're shutting down. They just shut the network down.
Sure, yes.
I know I was supposed to be able to re-download any games that I had already anyway, but just in case, I went and downloaded all my games to an SD card because I had all of the Pokemon generations that there were, which was like, I think like 1, 2,
Gold, Silver was on there as well.
4, 6, 7. I think it's like 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. There were like 5 gens you could get on there.
Interesting.
So, it's wild that literally when we did this podcast, the Pokemon game that was coming out came out on 3DS. Yeah. And the next Pokemon game will be coming out on the next Switch.
Hopefully.
Oh, God, Tom.
Chris is having a crisis over the Switch.
I never used to be a performance guy, you know.
It's not, but that's not what this is.
It's not
what this is. Yeah,
it's not. They're just Game Freak is not a good enough developer to have to do anything to get their games to run well. They need a
Put
powerful
that on the next
console.
Pokemon box.
They need a powerful console so their shit code and their shit game or their shit engine, whatever it is,
partially.
Yeah. They need double whatever platform they're on.
Whatever it's happening right now, double it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. No, we should. By the time Gen 10 comes out, and they better knock it out of the park for that generation. Come on, it's Gen 10, it's Gen X.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Hell yeah.
Like Mac OS 10, like that shit rocked.
Yeah. And now it's just
whatever.
Yeah. Fuck it. Now they're putting out some stupid fucking headset.
What a great time to do that. What a great time to enter the market. Well, we'll see. We'll see what that ends up being. What have you been up to, man? What's this week been like for you?
Well, Truce was away, so before I threw my back out last month when the PSVR came out, which I realized I've only had it for a month, and I like couldn't play it for like 10 days from when I threw my back out. I was going to spend the weekend like, because I don't just have to clean up the garage, but I also had to organize it because we just had so many boxes of like storage that were stacked and things like that with nowhere to go. So that meant taking down like the ones that we had shelves for and like reorganizing and going through everything. And I had to get like some like cabinet things and a ton of like fucking plastic bins and actually organize it so that it could all go like up and away. So like you could get to everything because we just had a lot of crap like just in bins of stuff. So I took care of that this weekend. So now I can use my VR play space in the garage, because since we have a 2-car garage, but we only have 1 car, the it's wide, it's not long. So the right space, which is always empty, I bought on Amazon these like 2 foot by 2 foot jigsaw puzzle looking foam pads. It only cost me $60, so I could get 12 by 12 feet, which is great. And so I took
12 by 12 feet is actually massive because
I was huge.
Dude, I was at the office today, and there's a we're building like a small space for us to shoot in the office because
Yeah.
the off now that we're a part of fandom, there was no space to shoot stuff.
Sure.
So we're planning that out, and there's like a equipment store right next door. So me and this other guy went there, and we were talking with them, and we wanted to get
Devontae?
like no, not
Oh.
Devontae. This guy Aaron Segura, he works for TV Guide primarily, which is another brand that they acquired. But we wanted to get something where we just had like a rollable background that we could just pull down. And the widest one you can get is 12 feet, which
Sure.
was around what we
It's
needed.
much
And
bigger than it
I
seems.
was looking at the container for it. The guy was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we got the 12-foot ones over there." And I looked at it, I was like, "Fuck, that's tall."
Yep.
Like that is
Yep.
really tall.
Yep.
So 12 feet by 12 feet, you're going to be able to get some serious.
I mean, the
that's like
minimum
double,
space is 6.5, right? Yeah. So it's like
around
double the
6 and
minimum,
a half.
but it's actually quadruple because it's squared. So like when you think about it, like you're in your 6x6 space, which is basically what I have upstairs. I'm like, well, that's not that much bigger. But then you have to remember it's in both distances that you're
Yeah.
doubling it. So
Yep.
you're actually quadrupling the space. It's so what I did is I have all 12 feet laid out in one direction. It's so right now it's 12 by 6, and I just have it layered twice. So when I want to play, I just pull the other car out and flip the mat over. Boom. And then I just flip it back. I haven't gotten to play it yet. I literally like just did it the other day. So I'm gonna be doing that this weekend. I'm so excited.
Don't
I was
hurt yourself
actually
again.
playing PSVR right before this.
Mm.
And this is why I have this like fucking this piece of hair. I can't get it to go down. I stopped like 15 minutes before we started recording because I'm trying to get rid of like the red marks around my face from having the headset on for so long.
So it'll be.
What have you been doing?
Saturday so Saturday we went to the jump park Sky Zone upstate.
Oh, right. I saw your video. Looked fun.
It was fun. We got there and it was a really rainy day in the city. And so everyone's kid was at this thing. And I was totally under the impression that we got our own, like we had our own spaces. Like anytime, like we had designated, like, okay, at this time you're doing this, and like it would just be us. It was not the case. It was 100% a free-for-all situation, and there was just like a million kids, and everyone else our age was there because of their kids.
Sure.
Obviously a little bit older, but or some of them at literally our age. And it was just, I was just like, oh my god, like this is so it was like a gaggle of like a dozen adults.
What
like,
time of day did you go?
Like middle of the day, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Yeah. And they had, what was funny
I could
is
see why you would think that would work out.
well, I
You know?
again, I'm not the one that planned it.
No, but I'm saying like
yeah.
I can see why you would think that. Because it's like, oh, well, kids that are old enough are going to be in school or at daycare.
Well, it was Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
It was a Saturday. So
yeah,
again,
you're fucked.
and there was like a private, you could book a dodgeball
like a lane. It's basically like the equivalent of a lane.
No, there was like a whole like
a
octagon,
whole room. Wow.
Like a whole octagon space that had like, yeah. And so, but we didn't have that booked.
Yeah, sure.
And it wasn't available at all that day. So what we ended up doing was it was ultimately fine. At first it was just like a little intense, but everyone rallied. We did play dodgeball, but the moment we got on those trampolines, we were like, oh, all of us were like, this is so much harder than we remember. And it's because like we're like fully grown. Our center of gravity is way higher. We have way more body weight that we have to like account for when we're like landing. And it's also not like, oh, it's just you and one other friend on like a 12 by 12 trampoline.
Yeah, of course.
It's like you have like a 3 foot by 3 foot square.
Yeah.
That you have to jump on. And we played dodgeball. We did like flips and stuff. We did they had like ultimate Ninja Warrior courses, which were fun.
Oh, cool, dude.
Yeah. And so we did that, and they were so difficult.
Yeah.
And they're meant for kids, but we were really struggling. Again, our size and our height did not help because like
No.
trying to get on the things like they're meant for 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And
They're also like made of rubber,
mhm.
you know?
And it was
like it's not made for for Tom Caswell.
and I'm surprised that and so a couple of us had like we were sore, and I did this thing where I got to like the final lane of what was meant to be like the hardest course of the Ultimate Ninja Warrior,
Yeah.
and it was basically like a platform suspended on either side by nylon cabling, kind of, and so you got to go across, but obviously it's just like suspended, so it's wobbly. And I was looking at it and I was like, the way to do this is you have to run. You have to run across it, and
Yeah.
that way you retain your balance. And at the other side, there were two ropes that either you were meant to kind of like grab onto one, swing to the other, grab onto the next. I was like, I can run across this, jump, grab both, swing to the other side. I tell you what, I almost made it. But my toe, we had like special socks with like rubberized grips, but still,
Sure.
my toe slipped in between the nylon strips, so it caught like between my pinky. I think it was either my pinky and my like ring toe, or my middle and my ring toe. And but I was like, it was totally working. Like everyone that was watching me was like, "Holy shit!" Like no one had thought to do.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
was like either like taking it trepidatiously. So and I remember like being mid run, like it's working, it's working. My toe catches, and the fall
Yeah.
that occurred from that situation made up for the fact that I had nailed. It was like the inverse. I went from absolutely nailing it to looking so ridiculous because the toe caught. Then I fell and I went to go grab on one of the straps, like
Yeah.
but then like the thing now is twisting under me, so like I'm basically kind of like upside down under it, and then again you'd like fall onto like an inflated canvas, like like bouncy castle thing. But again, I am not it is not meant for people my size. So I just kind of like roll, and then I'm like slipping into the seam between the wall of this like bouncy castle material and the floor of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the one that you saw that I posted on Instagram where it was the like flip
Yes.
into a big
Into the big
pit,
foam pit.
big foam pit of like these square cubes.
Yeah. Just
I
chunks of foam.
I dunked. I went so far down to the point where, like, when I shot my hand up, like, all that, like, it was just my hand that was above it. Getting out of that was like, I've watched movies where someone gets stuck in quicksand, and I'm like, how hard could that be?
Well,
You
I
can
mean,
get out of
it's
that.
not real. That's not a real thing.
Oh, quicksand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
but
not in the way that it's depicted at all in the
sure,
movies here.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not. But this was kind of like that, where it was the more you put effort into getting out, the further you sank. And it was just so much work for me to even get an inch out. And people like trying to help me and pull me out. But oh man, that was that was something. That was a sight to behold. But it was fun. Had a
Yeah.
good time.
That's
Uh
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was good, but never again. And I'm telling you this right now, as much fun as it is, like it isn't just an exorbitant amount of fun that it's like, oh, I have to do this before I can't do it anymore. Like, no, you're probably good.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. Yeah.
The foam pit, it has to be that deep because the things can't, they can't resist you a lot. They have to they have a lot of
Yeah, of
give.
course.
That's how it slows you down safely, right?
Yeah.
So that like anyone of any size, however they came down, is going to be safe. Like if they fall in that foam pit, even if
Didn't
they
the
come down like
TwitchCon, like
face.
someone
So this is
like,
why I'm bringing it up. So
yeah,
like you're saying about how it's basically like 6 foot deep, or like
it's
6 to 8,
deeper.
might even be
Yeah.
like 7 or 8 feet,
Yeah.
right? Like people are going to have to crawl out of it. The
Yeah.
one that was at TwitchCon was 2
2 feet.
feet.
Yeah.
It was basically like if you felt how like soft and nothing those square cubes were, it'd be like if you fell just onto one of those and then the just concrete floor. Like Unbelievable.
Like 2 people broke their back, for people that aren't aware,
Unbelievable.
at TwitchCon because of it.
Unbelievable, Tom.
Yeah.
But TwitchCon was run by morons, so whatever.
Fun time though, if you didn't break your back.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm behind. I haven't watched the newest Mandalorian.
Today's haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Did you watch Succession? Or do you watch that show?
No, I haven't. I do, but I haven't seen it. It's Teresa's
okay.
way, and she just got back. We're gonna be watching that maybe tonight after this, if not tomorrow.
Okay, there you go.
So
I haven't seen this week's.
Okay.
I haven't seen this week's. What is the other show that we watch called? Survivor. I have not watched this week's Survivor.
Okay. All right, well, fuck it. Then let's not talk about any kind of TV then.
The only things I've really been playing, I mean, I've been keeping up with Destiny, so that's still happening.
How was Diablo?
Oh yes, I played basically like the opening chapter, or not the opening chapter, I guess like the prologue before, and then you go to from my understanding, you go to a like actual like settlement. And I was very much in the position that I think you were in from the very beginning, which is like, I'm just going to play this when it fully comes out. And, you know, it would be one thing if it was your progress carries over.
Yeah.
Like, the only incentive is like, we're going to give you some exclusive gear if you hit the level cap for the beta. And I don't care enough to do that. And, you know, I wanted to. The other thing that was weird was it was very much the same vibes of Resident Evil 4 in the sense of you're in this desolate village and now are these like cultists who are gathered in a church and are sacrificing people, which is
I mean,
literally
it sounds like
how
Diablo.
which is literally also how Resident Evil 4 opens. So it was that thing of
it's a little Far Cry 5 as well.
Yeah, but
right,
but like
not the
actual,
literal
like,
devil
demonic,
though. Yeah, I know.
actual demonic abilities.
It's got the literal devil though.
But so it was just kind of like, I feel like I've already just played this and I just kind of want to I want to get through Resident Evil 4. I want to make sure I finish that game. So I just, once I'd beat the prologue, I was very much of the mind of, yep, just gonna wait till the full release on this one. And played more Resident Evil 4, so I'm making my way through that. Probably seems like I'm nearing like around halfway through the game at this point.
Okay.
Game's great stuff. Loving that.
Yeah.
And then we have both been playing Tchia. I don't know if you want to talk about other games before we talk about Tchia.
Yeah, let's do that, and then and then we'll move on, because this is going to be shorter than normal anyway, because we're starting at 10:30 your time, so it's it's a late one. So last week I told you about VRSmash on the VR, PSVR 2. And then the next day we played it together.
Oh, did we not talk? Yeah, we did not talk about any
VR together.
Fuck, we played like 2 hours of VR. It was
Tom,
so much fun.
I've spent all week just like waiting for you to be like, oh, I think I'm free to play some VR.
I'm definitely free this weekend. So
I am around.
Okay, good.
VR. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It is. Man, I have loved playing VR, but so far, nothing has topped playing VR in multiplayer.
Playing VR with another person is a different experience. You're able, I think, to stomach it a bit more as well. I think that there's something about
it gives me like a focal point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having another person, and it's funny because I was having issues with like it fogging up, and it was just so fun because when I'd have to take the headset off, like the headphones that are attached to it have to come off.
Yeah.
And so like as I'm pulling it away, I'm like seeing through the lenses like the world like disappearing. And I'm like, I said to Chris, I was like, this is like in Zoolander where they're like the files are in the computer. I was like, Chris is in the headset, like he exists in this like little rectangle that's stuck to my face. Yeah, we had so much fun. That what was it called?
VRSmash.
Yeah,
VRSmash.
For people,
breakout meets tennis.
Yes. So you're trying to hit there are different panels. The way that the mode that we played worked in the demo was we were both on each side, and then behind us were initially three square panels, and you're trying to break them, and the other person's trying to hit the ball back at your panels behind you
Yeah.
before you can break them. And then once those three broke, basically the panels kind of get more numerous and smaller.
Yeah.
So there are
There's
more
3
targets left to
panels,
hit.
then 4 panels, then 8 panels.
Right.
There's 15 total. And that what's good about that is if you're behind at the start, you can catch up easier because when there's 3, they take up the same amount of space as when there's 8. So they're more than twice as large as the third round. So when you get down to the third round, it's a lot easier to miss. So you were able to catch up in pretty much most of the time, Tom, you got to the third round.
We would both get to like the final round, yeah.
Yeah. But I had an advantage in that I had played the game. Like we played it for like an hour, but I had already played the game for like half an hour to an hour anyway. You know, so I had twice as much time in the game as you. You were still like figuring that out. Now, I think I read something online and I haven't gone back to test it, Tom. But so when you play this game, you can move with the thumbstick, but you also kind of have to move in your space because the ball moves fast. And if you're on the wrong side of the court when the ball's coming, the thumbstick's not necessarily fast enough to get you over to the ball in time. Like sometimes you have to kind of move with it. But sometimes it was going so far above our heads that if we didn't like really jump,
like we had to actually jump.
So I've seen some people on Reddit be like, yeah, I punched my ceiling. Someone was like, I broke my ceiling fan, which like thankfully wasn't on.
Yeah.
Which is such a funny thing to think about. Luckily have like a high ceiling, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's so funny. So I saw someone say though, like, hey, you don't have to jump. If you do the charge paddle, it brings the ball closer to you as well.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly, I don't know if that's true. I haven't tried it. Could be bullshit, Tom, but
could be bullshit.
That was like the one critique I really had about the game, other than the performance needs to be.
I don't think I ever reached the ball.
When it was above you?
That was above me. I don't think I ever reached it. And then I was also having just like timing issues. What felt like I should have hit it. Although Chris was pointing out that like it does matter what direction the paddle is facing. Like you do need to hit it with the flat, like the angle matters. So once I was keeping more in mind of that, because once I was swinging, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. But it did seem like you kind of needed to hit it like a second or two before. And we were also just having like hitching issues where everything would freeze.
And that was what I was complaining about last week was like, I didn't have that at all when we played, but I did have it when I played by myself, which not nearly as fun. Not even half as fun this game when you're not playing against, another person. So I was having that plus that. So that's why I was like pretty down on it when I talked about it the first time. But now that I played the multiplayer, I'm like, okay, I see why this is going to be a fucking thing. This is sick. I believe I read that part of the reason people are having tracking issues and like some people think it looks like butt is because it's running 60 frames and it's doing the reprojection for 120. So hopefully when the game has full release, it'll be at 90 hertz because 60 hertz in VR is not, visually it's okay, but it would be much better if they get
you need to get 90. I mean, that's the whole, that was also like the whole,
especially with like a game like tennis, like, you really, but man, that was fucking fun.
Yeah, when you're in the zone and when it works and all of that, and it's also one of the few games where it gives you a whole virtual body, which in some cases, like arm tracking, I was surprised as to how good that was. But there was the thing of it's tracking your shoulders with your head. So if you turn your head, the body is turning the shoulders too.
Right.
Which like never happens in real life. So they move independently like all the time. So that was a little weird. And then like the chest was way more forward, it felt.
They need that thing in the settings where it can where you can adjust the chest direction.
Back it up.
But it is very cool, and you get so into the world that like you and I were doing, like we were just like dancing and doing stupid shit in the VR world.
Yeah.
But like,
and it was horrific. Like Chris,
I was moving my legs so much, Tom, that like it's not like it does anything. But like when I was like dancing in the VR, I'm like, oh wait, why I could just stand still and do this with my hands. Like that's all he sees.
It was fun. I can't decide though which was more fun, that or our time in Pavlov.
Yes,
which
talk about that.
So we played Pavlov, which is for all intent, it's Counter-Strike would be the closest analog, because like the main mode is you have to you have money and you buy weapons and then you can buy attachments, and so however much money you have is how much you can do. But there's a bunch of modes. Initially we played gun game, which was fun, but because there was only 2 of us, it was like very hard to find. So we did King of the Hill, where it's
we got to find the smallest map.
Well, that bridge one has to be it.
Oh yeah, we should do gun game on that.
Gun game on that would be fun.
Gun game on that would be really fun.
Yeah. So I mean, it's intense. Chris was anytime I pumped up, Chris was freaking out.
It always surprised me.
Yeah, Chris was pretty scared. But
I have trouble forgetting that it's not real time.
Yeah, I mean, someone's coming at you, and then like there was one moment where we both like independently decided that we're just gonna wield a knife and charge at each other.
It was only like the 3rd kill we had done in the game. It was like the first time we played each other. It was
it got confusing because like one time I like dropped my weapon and it disappeared and I didn't know how to get it back. So there was weird things like that. But my favorite thing is when we were doing the bridge and it is just like we started either end. We have a little bit of a bunker area and then there's a bridge in front of us and we start on opposite ends, which made it like very easy for just the 2 of us to play. But there was one point where I was like, I'm just gonna throw a grenade at Chris, and it is the thing of like, this is the marvel of VR. This is why like I'm upset that VR hasn't taken off in the way that like it feels like it should have. You know, what we're playing today is
I think we're in the Super Nintendo of VR. I think this is PSVR 2 feels like the end of Gen 1, beginning of Gen 2 VR to me.
It's still like very Gen 1, yeah.
This feels like the end of Gen 1 PSVR 2. It's still not quite full Generation 2 VR, but I think whatever comes next
in a lot of ways. But I mean, it still has a lot of issues with like the hand tracking like is not, and the world sometimes is jittery a little bit, and that's still plaguing it. But the beauty, the fun of, I pull out a grenade to throw at Chris, I try and arc it, and we're in a bridge, so there's like a bunch of like railings and metal like things. So I just see it, I throw it, and I see it hit the railing, and like I'm watching it like fly back to me, and I'm just like, oh fuck, and then it explodes. And the thing is, in Pavlov is like sometimes your body like literally gets blown to pieces. Like what is left is just like a rib cage, and all the flesh is blown away. And it's like
you cut me in half with something.
I think it was like a sniper rifle. I hit you right in the middle, and then I just saw the 2 halves of you like
split.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to play more multiplayer games. We'll have to find out what other options there are as well.
That map, did you know my favorite thing that I did when we played VR was also that map? It was on the bridge. You had been doing better than I did in the kills because you weren't paying attention. I won because I stayed in the circle thing.
Yeah.
But I kept getting killed by you because you were just not focused on the King of the Hill part. You just kept killing. But I got tired of it one time, and I came like over to your side, and you knew I was coming. So when you came around the corner, you didn't know that I was just literally laying down on the ground.
Oh yeah, and you were like lying on your back, and it was
lying on my butt in my living room on the floor.
Yeah, it was so funny because you were lying down. Like imagine someone like lying on their back, and then like they're holding their gun like kind of like between their crotch, like pointing it, like James Bond just like did a dive out of a window and he's like pointing at the thing. That's how you were lying down in the game, and I like didn't know if that was how you were lying down in real life. I was like, did the thing fuck it up? Like, how are you actually lying down? And you're like, exactly as it looks. And I was like, that's awesome that it was able to do that.
I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I wasn't sure like what my character was going to look like. I was like, am I just like crouching really low? Like, does it look stupid?
I would love it if because the Hitman games came out on PSVR. They released VR mode for PSVR 1.
Is it first person?
Yeah.
Whoa, fuck,
Yeah, it's
man.
all of it's the games in VR mode. And I
Oh
know that it was got good reviews. I would love if they
God.
were able to update that
Or if the new
to
James Bond game can get a VR mode, even if it's like a
that would be
year or two
sick.
later, dude,
That would be
that would
sick.
be
Well,
unbelievable.
we'll see. The trajectory of sales for this thing is not looking good.
Sure.
So
I think
hopefully things turn around.
I
But
think the sales for this device in the first year are a little meaningless right now with the economic downturn, the cost. I mean, the cost of the PS5 is more in several countries today than it was when it came out.
yeah,
Like Sony had to raise the price, and
um,
this costs more than like
my only concern is that if people are
you know.
making VR, what they're going to want to make something that can run on the Quest because there are just like way more out there, and so
Sure,
there are so
just put
many.
it out on everything.
Yeah, but the problem is then you don't have thing. I mean, I guess you can like build a unique version for PSVR that like takes advantage of eye tracking and all
Right,
these things,
and then just better performance or better visuals.
but something that is specifically like, as I don't necessarily think Horizon is the best game on PSVR 2, but it is definitely the most impressive,
It's a
and
good
like the eye
showcase.
tracking makes a huge difference in all these things.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so we'll see. But I'm having. I'll tell you this. And granted, I think I mentioned this last week. It is coming down to the fact that it's always plugged in. Like I can easily just pick it up and put it on. Whereas with the first PSVR, I was constantly having to unplug it, replug it in. But I've played more of this one than I have of my first one, so I'm happy
Already.
about that. Already, for sure,
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
There's a lot of games, and I'm just getting pretty much all of them as they come out because
Sure,
I'm so obsessed with this thing. I'm
that's
so
good.
sorry for our listeners who don't care about VR. Everyone else here, like Tom, is still gonna play everything else. I'm mostly gonna be talking about VR lately because I'm fucking so many fucking games. I got Gorn, that came out.
Gorn.
Yeah, dude. So it's like a coliseum, like an arena game, and they're just these big fucking meatheady arena coliseum-y dudes, and you fight them just like in like free-for-alls and brawls, and you get fucking I had like a mace and like a bat with nails in it and a fucking what's the one that's on like the chain, bunch of weapons. You're just
Okay.
killing people. You
Oh, a
walk up to
flail.
this
Yes.
huge dude, you can punch them in the face, you can pick up their weapons, you can throw the weapons at them. It is so much fucking fun, dude. Noah brought it up to me earlier, and I was like, oh, I downloaded it, but I didn't have time. And then when you were like, hey, I can join instead of you doing a solo podcast, I was like, great, now I have time to go play it. So I played Gorn basically like right before this. Um, I had a lot of fun with it. It's like $20, which is sort of my like a $15-$20 game time. I'm kind of like, all right, I'll download it. Like,
Yeah.
so long as like it could be interesting to me, I'm like, that's fine. I think unless there's like more that I've seen from it, that I'll play this like a bunch, like for fun. But I don't know how much depth there is. Again, I played like maybe like 20-30 minutes of it. I did the tutorial. Um, so there could be a bunch more. There might be like way more weapons or enemy variety, but it also kind of does look like it's just like a sandboxy brawler. So then, might not be for everyone. I wish it had a demo, I think.
I mean, God, the number of what was it I was playing or talking
Like they
about
should
earlier?
just put timed demos. Just let me download the
Yes,
game and
yes.
just
Just let
let it
me
be
download.
45 minutes or
Yes,
the tutorial, and then
yeah,
that's it.
yep. And then my progress carries over. Like every game should just have that.
And then
And
have
like a
an
lot of it,
unlock button, because if I wanted to keep playing, I'd just like hit buy right there.
yeah. It would be like a way bigger incentive. And Nintendo basically does this for their games. Like pretty much all of their, not always at launch, but like eventually they will like add demos. So there
Oh, I
are
didn't
a
I didn't know
ton.
that.
Yeah, there are a ton of, if you go into like the demo section, like
Yeah.
most of Nintendo's first party games and a lot of the third parties as well will have uh not timed demos, but like play the first chapter and then progress carries over
Yeah.
and stuff. So I wish all things were like that. Man, the demo discs.
That's really good for a game like Pokemon, which got a lot of really harsh criticism, which I think was almost entirely deserved. However, I think the story about how the game is bad because the performance was bad, I think was definitely overblown to an extent, because it was like mechanically, like gameplay wise, the best Pokemon they've ever made.
Sure.
You know, but it's like, yeah, no, the performance is shit. So it's like good because someone can go download it and be like, oh, well, this is fine. Like, I'll still play this. You know, which I think there is the case for most people, considering
also the other thing is I think this generation of Pokemon games sold better than any generation
right,
before.
exactly.
So it was like it wasn't even a
Exactly.
problem.
Yeah.
You know,
God,
it just was not even a problem.
The gameplay was so good. Gameplay is so good.
And you completed the Pokedex. Like, that's saying something.
Yeah, man.
I'm hoping that other Switch comes out this year because I want to jump back in, but I'm just kind of waiting until hopefully that there is
there'll be a new
patch.
Switch before there's a new Pokemon. So even if you jump back in later, then you'll have the DLC.
Well, that's the plan. Is like, well, the isn't the rumor like the Switch, the next Switch is going to be end of this year with the DLC. So,
dude, if that happens,
we shall see. Tuna's got a Zelda pre-order for the OLED.
Yes, did not know that.
He has one. Yeah, because he was hitting me up and he was like, "Can you let me know when these go online?" But it was funny because he didn't even really need to, because I think like they've been freely pre-orderable. I don't think there's been a huge demand for them.
You can get them.
I want that Pro Switch controller though. That's what I'm waiting on.
The Switch Pro controller is nice. I did play another game called Galaxy Kart.
Okay.
And it's like a Mario Kart. I played one race, but it was pretty cool.
Okay.
It was $15. It's actually 20, but it's one of the, like, you get a deal on it with PlayStation Plus or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you would think like, of course this is what you do, but at the same time, it's just weird, like, to actually have to like grab the steering wheel, like with my hands, and like turn it in the air, like this invisible steering wheel. You know, you would just think there's like a different way you would do that part. But the cool thing is, off to your right hand side, you have your two items that you can pick up straight up, just like Mario Kart style boxes you run into or whatever. Your signature cart that you pick to race in has one that auto refreshes, and then another that fills from the boxes. So like the signature car I used, it's probably the starter car, was like a hot dog, like a Oscar Mayer Wienermobile kind of thing. And I had ketchup that I could squirt on the ground. Here's where it's cool. You're fucking in the car, Tom. And like, imagine like you're driving, so like you can look to the sides and stuff. Let's say you have like the gun to shoot at people. That's like an item you can pick up. You look like you're in the Fast and the Furious. You have one fucking hand on the steering wheel, and you know you're turning to the side, and you're like looking back, and you're pointing with your finger, like shooting at fucking other vehicles. It's pretty cool. It makes me want like a Twisted Metal kind of game, where we have cars with weapons and we're just driving around.
What was that one?
Destruction All Stars.
Destruction All Stars.
If that had a VR mode, I would play that.
Sure. How disappointing that game did not set the world on fire, because when they revealed that, I was like, oh, that looks great. And then it would just
this makes me think,
you can even play that mode. Like, is that the service still up? Probably not.
This makes me think a medieval fighting style game where we're on horses would be sick.
Oh my god.
Right? Like you use one hand and you turn it, like you've got the reins of the horse. And then we've just got fucking swords and shields and shit, Tom. That would be really fucking cool.
Yeah, it would be. That'd be cool.
All right, you want to talk about Tchia?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, we're gonna do some Tchia spoilers. All right. How far into the game are you?
I'm not very far. I made it to the first main island.
Okay.
And I'm like on the quest, like that first quest that you get.
You've done a soul snatch, right? Like you've jumped into something. You haven't used the ability.
Yeah, I haven't done that, which I think is going to greatly change my perception of the game, because I like it so far, but it needs a little something.
Yeah, I mean that's where the game begins. So wait, when you say, sorry, I don't want to. I just want to figure out where exactly you are. Have you left the starting island?
Yes,
and then you went to the
I'm in like the city island
Okay, great.
area. Yeah. And
After
then
you finish your first thing there, you will get it
yeah. I'm
immediately.
like I'm about to like
It's
get it
probably
essentially.
exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what this game is.
Yeah, so this is I mean the core gameplay conceit is Breath of the Wild-esque in the sense that it's a third person action open, and it's kind of like Wind Waker in the sense like there's numerous islands. It's based on a real life place called New Caledonia, but it is not that. It is, and it's also like very, I mean, as Chris mentioned, you can jump, you can soul jump, you can like become other objects, other creatures and stuff. So there's obviously a supernatural element. When you get to that island, there's like this
It's like
thing in
Mario
the
and
sky.
Mario Odyssey with Cappy.
Yeah, but it seems to be, from what I understand, like way more substantial. Like you can basically become and do anything. But yeah,
Yes.
and then also there is the thing of like you have a glider, so and you can
It's
climb anything.
it is exactly the Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild glider. I love
Yeah.
that. It is. They're not trying to pretend it's
That
fucking
like this was
anything else.
good, that was, yeah, and you can climb anything, right? Like you have a stamina,
Yep.
you can climb, you can go underwater, all this stuff. It has, Chris texted me, and and I basically said it oozes charm. It is so
It does.
charming. It's based, I think the developers are from there as well, so it's clearly has
Yep.
a deep respect for the culture. It's
That's
all
one of my
done.
notes. Is so like remember the more recent, right before the more recent Survivor Fiji seasons, they would always do the community outreach stuff on the longer ones.
I don't know.
Okay, well, like before they changed the format and went to like
Sure.
26 days, in every season there'd be a full episode where it's like, oh, the two people won this competition. It's like they brought someone in from the community to do something for people on the island, and like also the winners went out and like delivered like food and supplies to people,
Gotcha.
and they talked and they showed
I
something
remember
about the
one season
culture
I
on
watched
Fiji.
where it was like, I remember, I think it was Winners at War. They brought like someone who's like lived there their whole life, and it was like they're gonna teach you how to like get coconuts efficiently,
Yes,
and like how
yeah,
to do like all
yeah.
this stuff. Which is funny because like I'm watching Survivor and I'm like, has anyone ever brought up the fact that this is kind of fucked up a little bit, like like the cultural appropriation side of it?
But
And
that's
obviously,
part of why they do that, right? Because
yeah,
they're trying to improve the community, and so that's why it made me think of that, because the beginning of the game like literally has 5 pages about like the place, the real
yeah,
world place that you're
explaining
playing,
it, yeah,
and like, hey, we only got voice actors from here, like
yeah,
local people to voice
yeah,
this game in like our native French. Like it's you know
yeah.
interesting.
No, it is interesting, and like it has like some mini games in the beginning, and you're like playing music with like your father, and you're using like leaves, and then you get like a ukulele, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
if you've played Last of Us Part 2,
It's his
Ellie's
ukulele, I think.
guitar. The guy.
I think it's her dad, right? Because that's her
Oh, her
dad.
dad's.
I think it's her dad's ukulele that.
Well, the guy that she is with before she goes to that city island is not her dad, but
But I think he took,
it's
because he had
his.
his guitar still,
Gotcha.
and then the ukulele was there. Because I remember like the first time you go to play music, the dad's playing
Oh,
the
he's playing
ukulele.
he's playing on the ukulele, yeah. And funnily enough, to go to another Zelda reference, that
Oh my god.
inspiration is that one of the first things you learn is you can play the ukulele, and it's kind of like a radial dial. Then the chords are on a radial dial, and so you can pick the chords you play, but it is like ocarina, where playing certain chords like
So cool.
the first one you learn is that you can change the time of day by playing a certain chord, and like if you do like A minor C F G, like that makes it day. If you do A minor C F D, that is midnight or whatever. So that's cool, and it seems that they will add things there. Yeah, I'm liking it, and I know that, and the two things that I have to say about it is I want to play more. Like I'm gonna play it, and it's a quick game, so we can play it for completion for next week, hopefully. The two things are, I am waiting for the soul hopping thing to really get it. I think that's going to like determine how I ultimately feel about the game.
Yeah,
But I
of
will
course.
also feel that say that it feels like very floaty, like trying to climb things is kind of imprecise. The gliding is not quite
It's
precise,
a
and
smaller studio that made
yeah,
this.
it's a
It's a
very
very
small
small
team. It's
studio,
an indie
so
game,
you're
so
gonna give them a little bit of a pass. Like,
yeah.
I'm not Tom. You're gonna give them a pass. Like, just players, you're just gonna recognize like how much care went into this game, and it's like clearly like, well, the technical side is where the only game part of the game
Of
that struggles
course,
because
yeah.
it's also not running at a high frame rate or like the smoothest, even on like the PS5.
Yeah,
But
and
again, it's
the
such a
the
small
models are
team.
like 2/3 of the way there, even though it's going for a certain art style, but still like the character models and the designs of it are all
I mean,
yeah,
it's
it's
weird
like yeah.
because I think most of it looks really nice, except for the city, where the city
Yeah.
looks like fucking super low polygon and the
Yeah.
textures and everything seems like soulless and out of place. But something tells me that that's actually partially an artistic choice.
Hmm.
Because the fidelity of everything else on the island is like really high. Like the lighting is beautiful, everything's super like saturated in color. There's so much flora fucking everywhere. It's like you got grass for days, you got flowers, trees, fucking everything everywhere. And then you get into the city part, and it looks like I don't know,
I
like a
mean,
Fisher
really,
Price,
like
like
Fisher Price, I like
or like
that.
Lego. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
very boxy and kind of dead looking. It's
Hmm.
so I wonder if that's partially artistic, but yeah, that is it's got a little jank like when you're trying to
Yeah,
navigate.
Jank is good. But it's one of those things where it is just like hopefully they are able to this is a success for them. They can
Yeah,
expand the team and tighten that up because it's just one of those things where you're appreciating the game and you really want to progress, but I was like trying to climb up to a thing and it was just like frustrating. And so, even with you're able to compartmentalize that in your head of understanding the limitations this team has. It's very clearly, and that's a part of the reason in the beginning that they presented of like, hey, this is like
right,
5 people, like,
right.
so that it gears you in for what you should expect. But even still, like in the moment, you're just like, oh fuck, I'm like just trying to climb up to this ledge and it's just not quite getting there. But yeah, so what are your thoughts?
So I'll jump off on that part just because the one thing I would add to that is I thought to myself, man, Nintendo was really lucky when they made Breath of the Wild that the geometry had to be really simple for it to run, and that there
Hmm.
aren't like a more advanced engine would have a lot more just like rocks, misshapen thing, right?
Yeah.
Because navigating it, you would inevitably there'd be like too many ledges by accident for you to grab the wrong one, or
Hmm.
like the top of like this thing you're trying to jump onto shouldn't like sometimes like where the angle of the roof is like you can't actually just jump to it. It's like, oh, I can't jump out and up at the same
Yeah.
time. But because they were like, oh, look at this barge you're on, it's like there's a ladder here under a roof, and I'm like trying to just get up
Yeah.
onto what should be a ladder, which shouldn't be
Yes.
easier than just honestly, I shouldn't have had to press anything. I should have just grabbed the
Yeah, it
ladder.
should
The
have been a
character
lock
should have
on, but it's not. Yeah.
um
That was the
that
thing that was the specific moment I was referring to. I was trying
yeah,
to get on this ladder and it's like she's sticking to the wall behind it. And I
yeah.
thought that maybe, oh, ladders are just like a deck, like they're just there for like because a ladder would be there, but that isn't how you climb. And then like later on in the game, I got to a ladder, and when you climb it, you don't expend any stamina. And I was like, oh, okay. That's where the jank is coming.
And so it weirdly is like partially a design issue and not just like an engine thing, right? Because it's like, oh, by them trying to have these more complex areas, but with the way that your character is made to navigate this world, like it doesn't totally work. Something tells me, Tom, that's most of the time not going to be an issue because most of the time we're going to be out in more of the wilderness
Yeah.
area and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not worried about it too much
So
specifically with that. But also like the movement and stuff like she very
yeah,
lumbering, like it's not precise at all.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's more than just the climbing,
yeah, I
I
guess
feel.
that's kind of true. I don't know if I'd say lumbering because I don't feel like she gets away from me, right? Like I don't feel like I lose control
It's
of
just
the
one of those
character.
things that like when you do like a sharp turn or immediate turn, there is a little bit of like
She's kind
they're
of
still
gliding.
continuing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
floaty,
Yeah.
for sure.
Um you can't pet the dog.
If you try, you just try to climb it.
You just pick them up. You pick
Oh,
them up.
okay.
Oh,
There
you
you
didn't
go.
pick the dog up?
I haven't picked up a dog
All
yet,
right, you
no.
can pick up anything, Tom, and put it in your backpack.
Oh yeah, you
put
can
a
do
dog
that, right? You can do
in
this,
your backpack.
Yeah.
Or you can
you can put a dog in your backpack.
or you can throw the dog, which I was like, come on. Or you could put the dog down, but it doesn't just like stand the dog up and the dog walks away. You just let go of the dog and drop it on its back. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like such a weird choice for this like otherwise so charming game to be like, A, you can't pet the dog, which now is like a meme, but you know, I guess maybe they just weren't aware of that. But it was just so funny to be like, oh, you don't want the dog anymore? Drop the dog here. Walk away.
Put the dog in your backpack.
Which I was so like, why the fuck can I put this dog in my backpack? But now that I can jump into a soul, that means I'm like, oh, I need to be a dog later. Like I might need to be the dog to go like into this specific thing. So like I gotta take one with me. So it's almost like weirdly like a Pokemon-esque kind of thing, Tom. You're literally about to get it, and then you're gonna take off for like one of the many islands, which is where I stopped playing. So I'm literally like the quest ahead of you. And I've taken control of a dog. I've taken control of a coconut. I've taken control of, and none of these were like missions in the game, so they're just like anything out in the world. The coolest one was a dolphin, which was super cool because I had a crab with me that I took from the original island, and I was like, oh, let me use this. Cool, I can go underwater, and I can not have to worry about oxygen, which is great. Because otherwise you have to worry about your oxygen. And right now your stamina in the game is like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
which I kind of like
so
that it's
quick.
just a full countdown at least. You just have a number. And then while I was underwater, I saw a dolphin. So I fucking popped out and grabbed the dolphin. And then I was fucking coasting. That's the dolphin. Very cool. Very cool. I only have one other thing I think we should bring up, Tom. This game is cinematic as fuck. And you should know that going into this, that it's almost more of a like DreamWorks Pixar movie.
Yes,
than 100%. It even
100%.
is a game at times.
There's way more of like a story than I thought that'd be.
And like the story is so important.
Is like so epic, and it's like
it's so good.
Yeah.
And the camera angles are great, and they do like first person perspectives. They do all these beautiful shots. You'll be like doing missions, and then they'll just like go right into a scene and then come right back out of into the game. I wish I'd known that going into it slightly more, because Therese was like doing work while I was playing it. And she was like, what is this? I want to play this. She was so excited by this game. So.
It's very I know you haven't played it, but it reminds me a bit of Psychonauts as well, the new Psychonauts.
No, I beat that whole game.
Too?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I was the one that really liked it. Tuna didn't play it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it reminds me of points of Psychonauts of like you're at this point where you have to meet like the mystic, or I forget what they call it, but like there's someone in the island that you have to meet, and you have to take a ticket, and then there's this thing in the culture.
Oh, the leader of the island, right?
Yeah, there's this thing in the culture that is like you have to get, and it was cool. It's great that it introduces it. Like it's so interesting. Of in this culture, you collect like I guess random items and present them as gifts. So
offerings.
Yeah, and so you have to do it. I forget what it's called, but you have to do it for the leader of the island before you can see them. So the quest that I'm on is collect the things that you need. And then as you're walking out, someone walks in and they take a ticket, and like they're the 1,000th person to take a ticket, so they get to see the person right away. They don't have to do the offering, which felt very there's like a lot of humor.
It reminded me a little Hi-Fi Rush, the comedy there.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like when she's going and she's filling out the paperwork, and then more paperwork, and then more.
Yeah,
like it felt like I was watching it. Like an animated movie.
They're feeding her. It's so funny. Yeah, and all the paperwork is like the same sheet.
Like it reminded me of when
like 5 of the same sheets.
Well, what's the one where it's all the horny animals as like police with the rabbit on Pixar?
Oh, Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia.
All the horny animals. So they horny in that movie?
People are horny for the animals. So now if you go on the internet, the animals are horny. The art has ruined that.
Oh, I see.
Or
good movie.
made it better for some, I'm sure.
I
The
enjoyed that
furries
one.
love that movie, Tom.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tchia, yes, definitely going to keep up
Great
with
movie.
it. It is a part, if you want to play along with us, it is a part of the PlayStation extra and premium tiers. So
Yeah, Alex was mad when he found out that it wasn't
it
free because
wasn't
he
the
didn't have
basic
that. Yeah.
free. Yeah.
There was one other thing I thought was really funny, which was instead of having like Ubisoft or Zelda towers to locate like other things in the game where you climb up, you
Yeah.
go up on something high and then you just scream.
Oh, yeah, you
Like
go. Yeah.
you just
But again,
scream and it's like
that's
sonar.
yeah, and but that's a part of, again, it's like a cultural call or something, like a
That's
cry
so
that you
awesome.
admit.
It's so
Yeah,
awesome. I
yeah,
love that.
it's interesting. It's like both unique and not, because it's obviously like pulling. This game wouldn't probably exist if like Breath of the Wild doesn't exist. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff it's pulling, or any Zelda game as well, because you got the Ocarina of Time stuff there. But in a lot of ways, because it is so infused with these cultural aspects and like making that a part of the gameplay
Yeah.
is really dope.
This is
So
a game that like
100% something to check
Alex
out.
could play for his kid like next year because
Oh,
it's like,
100%.
it's like definitely
Yeah.
safe, minus like the time that guy gets cut in the face by a sword. I was like, whoa, this shit just got real by whatever those fabric monsters are. There was like some weird, it took a
Oh,
weird turn for a moment.
I haven't even gotten to that
No,
point yet.
in the tutorial area when the dad gets taken,
Oh, does he?
there's like that ship that comes down with this bad guy
Right.
and he's got a
Yeah.
sword, and there's like these two monsters who look like they're made of like cloth because they like
Oh,
wrapped him
yes,
up.
yes,
It was
yes.
very, which is part of why everyone kind of looks like Muppets a little bit, because I think that's sort of like the aesthetic they're using here. And then Tchia uses her power, it awakens for the first time, and she soul hops into the sword and cuts him in the face.
That's funny.
It's very cool.
There's a game coming out next week. I mean, actually, we can talk about it in news. We'll talk about it in news.
All right, let's move on to news.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go for it.
Breath of the Wild had a gameplay presentation. It was 10 minutes long, so it was very short. And all we basically saw were the new abilities that are in the game.
And
so
hopefully not all of them, but probably almost.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it. In the original game, there was Magnesis, which is kind of being replaced by a new technique called Ultra Hand, which allows you to kind of grab anything.
It's such a ridiculous name.
Well, did you know that it was a Nintendo toy? It's named after like an old Nintendo toy. I saw this in a Polygon article in I think
Is
it was
it the
the
glove?
80s.
No, that's the
No,
glove.
it's called literally Nintendo Ultra Hand. It has nothing. It's not a video game thing. It's just like it's like one of those scissor arm toys.
Really?
If you just Google, yeah,
shit, dude.
yeah, it's named after that, which is cool.
That's fucking funny.
Just Google, if you're at home, just Google Nintendo Ultra Hand. But if you can't be bothered to do that, it's just one of those things where it's
It's like a gadget arm, go gadget.
yeah. So it can you press in and it extends out and it can grab stuff. So that basically is just like magnesis of everything. You can basically just pick up anything remotely. What you had freeze in the original game, freeze stuff, magnets.
Time.
What were the other? Oh yeah, you could stop things in time.
There was the levitate.
Levitate.
Right? Like couldn't you like, oh no, that was the magnesis.
Yeah.
Magnesis. Were there just 3?
No, there were 4. Which is what, and there are 4 in this game, which makes me think these are all of them. Let me see. Breath of the Wild abilities.
You mean Tears of the Kingdom? Oh, right.
Well, I want to see the ones that were in Breath of the Wild. Oh no, not these.
So now it's gonna have rewinding time.
Yeah,
before
so you
it had
have
freezing time.
Yeah, you can rewind time. So they showed that there are sky. One of the big changes is now there's these islands in the sky, and to get up there, well, they said that they were like, there are numerous ways in which you can get to the sky islands. This is only one of them, but one of the ways is if a piece of debris falls off of one of them, you can get on there, hit rewind time, and it will fly you back up. So That's something we saw in
Oh,
that
we
we
used to have the
actually,
bomb. Wasn't the bomb one?
I think the bombs were the fourth power. So it's not like
It'd be
Breath of the
weird if there's
Wild.
no bombs.
eh, Well, you got to imagine maybe
Or
you
just
can
maybe there's
use the
regular ass
fuse,
bombs.
or maybe you can use the fuse
Yeah.
ability.
Oh,
Um,
and we can fuse bombs and arrows and do bomb
well, exactly, because
arrows.
one of
Which
the
you could
things
already do. But...
the GameSpot, so in Breath of the Wild, um, you had like elemental type arrows, and one of our guys who's on the GameSpot team, who's like one of the experts of Breath of the Wild, he noticed that in the top corner, when you switch to the bow and arrow in Tears of the Kingdom, it doesn't actually it doesn't change the option to allow you to pick elemental arrows. So it seems that there are no elemental arrows. It's all about using items to a regular arrow to make them elemental arrows. So it's probably something like that, where it's like you pick up something and you confuse it with something else to make a bomb. So you can probably cover all of the bases of those four powers, but they're just kind of enhanced in a way. Because the other thing with the rewind time, we saw it in a previous trailer, is that enemies like rolled a boulder. It was like the first trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. Enemies like rolled a boulder at Link and used recall to like send it to go back to them. So there'll be things like that. So yeah, it's recall, fuse, which is the big one, right? Like that seems to be the one where all of the experimentation, all of the crazy abilities are going to come in, and they showed that off by, oh, you have a stick, and then you can go up to a boulder and you can fuse the boulder to the tip of the stick to make a hammer. You could fuse, I mean, it seems that you can fuse anything together, which is cool. Like, when they showed that off, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. Like, I'm just gonna be experimenting with stuff. And you can, in that last trailer we got, and we saw these vehicles and they looked very hodgepodge kind of put together. That is what it is, right? Those vehicles are being built. They made a raft out of 3 logs and then stuck like these like wind turbines to them to make it go forward.
Do you think we'll get an Eventide Island of some kind
Oh
again? It
yeah,
was
I
such a
think
hit. I loved it.
I think they're gonna double down on stuff like that. I mean, hopefully, that's the thing, is like we just don't know at this point. But I think that I think the fact that they're including this ability specifically means that we are going to have way more like discoverability of things that you can do. The other ability that we have, and then Ultra Hand is that ability where you can grab stuff. But there's the Ascend, which is you can pop, if there's a ceiling, like you can pop up and through the ceiling.
That one is weird to me, and I'm trying to understand what its purpose is.
Sure.
Because since when are we inside? Like, are we actually going to be getting dungeons now? Are we going to be getting like really difficult areas that like you need like an escape rope from like Pokemon to get out of?
Potentially.
Like, are we going to be underground? It's like such a specific, strange thing. I would almost have expected more an ability to descend, where it's like, oh, I'm on top of this building and I can enter it from anywhere, so I can attack the puzzle from like any part, or like, it's like, oh, we have to get into this temple, but like, how do I do it? And it's like, okay, well, you can enter here, get out, go in through like another area because you push like a stone. But like Ascend, escaping things seems very specific in a way that I can't actually figure out what they're gonna do with it, other than the Sky Island area, right? It's like, is it just for flying?
Yeah, well, they mentioned, so they show you it come up to just like a gazebo area and using it on the ground, and then you go. And the cool thing is like the thing that they were kind of pushing is, hey, if there's a cave in the side of a cliff, you can use Ascend and you'll like swim through the cave and you'll pop up on the top. So there is that specific need of like, oh, those sheer cliff faces before, where
Yeah.
you were stressing about like if you had enough stamina, it's going to make those a bit more manageable. But then they did say, like, if you're trapped in a cage, you know what to do with Ascend. So it made that worded like you never get trapped in a cage in Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild. So maybe there is a thing where it is you are in some kind of like physical space, and
Yeah.
maybe if there are shrines in this game, we don't know. We haven't seen them like at all in any of the trailers. But if there are shrines, and I hope there are,
You have to imagine there has to be an equivalent if there aren't.
yeah,
There's
otherwise
gotta
what's
be.
like the shrines made that game. Like
The
Breath of the
shrines
Wild would not
made
be,
that game.
yeah.
It
The
didn't
Breath
have
of the
any
Wild,
temples.
yeah.
You know?
Do you think we're getting dungeons?
Dude, if we don't get dungeons.
Yeah,
Well, I think most people have made their peace with the likelihood of there being playable Zelda at this point is 0, if not like 1 at best or 0.1.
okay. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not even gonna want to like talk about this game. It's gonna be so annoying if there aren't dungeons again. People are gonna be so mad. It's like all people are gonna. It's all people are gonna want to talk
Well,
about.
people are
People are
already
gonna be
like
so mad about it.
people are already annoyed at the fact that there's weapon durability in the game.
I mean,
We
come
know
on,
that
we
now.
had to know that was gonna be back. Which like, I I guess I don't care. What do you feel about it? Because that's how I feel. Is I guess I don't care because otherwise I will just like. They're right. I would end up just using the same weapon over and over.
Yeah, potentially.
What
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Would you get rid of it? Would you keep it?
I don't know. I guess different situations. I just think that the fusing system kind of mitigates any need for like any concerns that I had with the weapon durability. I was not particularly
Yeah.
overly concerned. I'm just curious as to how the fuse system is going to work. Like,
Yeah. How many items can you fuse? How long do they stay
how
fused?
many can I put if I have a sword in my hand? Can I put a stick on the end? Like, how does that work? Like,
Could
all
I
of these things.
strap a bunch of like spears to a boulder and just like roll it at people?
Yeah, I mean, probably.
You
Like,
know,
yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
can I put swords on my boomerang and throw fucking
Yeah,
swords at
exactly. Yeah,
people?
exactly. Like, how does it even fuse to the boomerang? Like, does it go to the ends? Does it
Yeah.
like I felt, I think we talked last week where I said I'm worried that because my situation, this isn't going to feel as revelatory as Breath of the Wild, and how much is that going to affect my game? But like the kind of excitement, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait I want to be playing this right now.
Tom?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You started breaking up, like when you started talking.
Yeah, you were freezing for me as well. I don't know which end.
I think I'm gonna we're gonna end the show because it's a little short. So
Sure,
let's end the
I'm cool
show.
with it.
We're gonna end this call and then do the post show.
Okay,
Can you just get us a new live link, drop it in the Spartans? It's gonna take me like 3 or 4 minutes. Because we started late, but
sure.
it's
This
also
works for me.
late. So like, it's hard to do a full show today. And it keeps breaking up. So this way we can both like restart our computers.
Sounds good.
So let's just say thanks for joining us for our 369th episode of the Unranked podcast. This was Christian Humes here with great GameSpot Breton. Join our Spartan program. Go to
Become
the
a
Discord.
Spartan. Become
Email
a Spartan.
unrankedpodcast.com. 805. What is the number? Retunia. 805 Retunia.
Yeah.
Retunya. And you guys know, forever and always. Until next time, stay unranked.
Wi-Fi can suck it.